The grocery store hummed under the dull glow of fluorescent lights, nearly empty except for the quiet shuffling of tired shoppers. Jake, a 22-year-old cashier, leaned against the counter, counting the minutes until his shift ended. That was when he noticed her. A teenage girl, barely 18, clutched a tiny baby against her chest. She moved like a ghost through the aisles, hesitant, nervous, exhausted. Her hoodie was too big for her frail frame, her shoes worn, her face pale with stress. She reached the baby care section, eyes darting around as she picked up a can of formula, then a pack of diapers. A moment later, she hesitated and put the diapers back. Jake's stomach tightened. He had seen struggle before, but this was different. A few minutes later, she approached his register. She placed the formula down gently, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. The baby squirmed in her arms, letting out a soft, hungry whimper. Jake scanned the formula. $27.89. The girl's fingers shook as she counted her money. Crumpled dollar bills, loose change. Jake could already see it was not enough. Her breath hitched. She swallowed hard and started pulling items away. First, the baby wipes, then the formula. The baby let out a tiny cry. Her hands froze. Jake's chest tightened. He could not let this happen. Without thinking, he pulled out his wallet, slid his card into the reader, and covered the cost before she could protest. The register beeped. The girl's head snapped up, eyes wide. "Wait, what did you do?" Jake gave a small smile. "It is taken care of." Her lips parted, but no words came. A tear slipped down her cheek. I do not know how to thank you." Jake shrugged. "Just take care of your little one." For a second, she stood frozen, as if this moment was too much to believe. Then, clutching the bag of baby supplies to her chest, she whispered, "Thank you," and rushed out of the store. Jake exhaled. He had done the right thing. Then, "Jake!" The store manager's voice thundered through the aisles. Customers turned their heads. Jake turned just as his manager stormed toward him, face twisted with rage. "What the hell did you just do?" Jake straightened his shoulders. "I helped someone." "You gave away store products?" "I paid for them," Jake snapped. "I do not care," she roared. "You made the store look bad. We do not do charity here." Jake's fist clenched. A baby was hungry. His manager's face turned ice cold. "Hand over your name tag. You are fired." Silence. Jake's heart pounded. Fired. Over an act of kindness. Slowly, he yanked off his name tag, tossed it onto the counter, and grabbed his jacket. As the automatic doors whooshed open, the cold air stung his face. He had no idea that by tomorrow his name would be everywhere. And by the next morning, a helicopter would be outside his house. Jake lay awake in his tiny apartment, staring at the ceiling. His mind replayed the moment over and over. His manager's furious face, the humiliation of being fired in front of customers, and the way that teenage girl had clutched the baby formula like it was a lifeline. He had done the right thing, but now he had nothing to show for it. Bills were already piling up. Rent was due in 2 weeks. He had no savings, no backup plan. He grabbed his phone and scrolled mindlessly through job listings, but nothing seemed promising. His stomach clenched at the thought of telling his parents. He already knew what they would say. "You are too soft, Jake. The world does not reward kindness." A sudden noise shook him from his thoughts. A deep rumbling sound, growing louder by the second. The windows rattled. Jake sat up. The sound was coming from outside. Confused, he pulled back the curtains, and his heart nearly stopped. A helicopter was hovering just outside his apartment building. Its powerful blades whipped the air, sending dust and loose papers flying across the parking lot. Neighbors were stepping out onto their balconies, shielding their eyes, trying to understand what was happening. Then Jake saw it. A man in a suit stepping out of the chopper, flanked by 2 others. They were heading straight for his building. His phone buzzed violently in his hand. Unknown number. Hesitantly, he answered. "Is this Jake Matthews?" a deep voice asked. Yes?" Jake's heart pounded. "We need to speak with you. Right now." Before Jake could even process what was happening, a loud knock shook his front door. He jumped to his feet, his mind racing. Who were these people? The police? No. Cops did not arrive in helicopters. Taking a deep breath, he swung the door open. Standing before him was a tall, broad-shouldered man in an expensive black suit, his sharp blue eyes studying Jake carefully. Behind him, two men in sunglasses stood like bodyguards. Jake's voice caught in his throat. Who are you? The man extended his hand. My name is Richard Lawson. I represent a very powerful individual. Jake hesitated, shaking his hand. The man's grip was firm. Mr. Matthews, Lawson continued, his voice smooth but commanding, you helped a young mother last night. That decision cost you your job. Jake's blood ran cold. How did they know? Lawson smiled slightly as if reading his thoughts. The world knows about it, Jake. You are all over the internet. Jake felt like the ground had been ripped from under him. What? Lawson pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward Jake. A video was playing. Jake's stomach twisted as he watched himself on screen. His brief conversation with the teenage mother, him swiping his card, the way she teared up before rushing out of the store. But it was not just security footage. Someone had recorded the entire thing, and the numbers at the bottom? 10.3 million views. Jake's knees nearly buckled. How is this possible? Lawson slipped his phone back into his pocket. The internet has taken notice of what you did, and so has my employer. He wants to meet you, right now. Jake swallowed hard. Everything about this felt unreal. Who is your employer? He asked hesitantly. Lawson's eyes gleamed. Let us just say, he is a man who rewards kindness, and he has a life-changing offer for you. Jake's pulse thundered in his ears. This morning he had woken up unemployed, uncertain about his future. Now a helicopter was waiting outside, and a mysterious billionaire wanted to see him. And something told him, his life was never going to be the same again. Jake's heart pounded as he stepped into the helicopter. The powerful blades roared above him, sending waves of wind through the parking lot below. His mind screamed that this was insane. Just yesterday, he was a broke cashier. Now he was being whisked away by a mysterious billionaire's team like something out of a movie. The second he strapped in, Richard Lawson, the man in the sharp black suit, handed him a tablet. You should see this. Jake hesitated before glancing at the screen. His stomach twisted. It was him. Everywhere. The video of him helping the young mother had exploded across social media. Major news networks, influencers, celebrities. Everyone was talking about the cashier who lost his job for being too kind. Justice. For Jake was trending. There were tens of thousands of comments. This guy is a hero. Someone hire him now. That manager should be ashamed. Who fires someone for helping a baby? Jake, if you see this, we got your back. The world needs more people like you. Jake swallowed hard. This was bigger than he had imagined. He looked at Lawson. How did this happen? Lawson smirked. People love a story, Jake. And yours? It is the kind that changes lives. The helicopter soared above the city skyline, its powerful engines humming beneath them. Jake clenched his fists. This felt unreal. Where are we going? He asked. Lawson adjusted his cufflinks. To meet the man who can make all of this, your struggle, your job loss, your uncertain future, disappear. Jake barely had time to process before the helicopter began descending onto a massive estate, surrounded by acres of lush green land. A mansion, no, a fortress, stood in the center, gleaming under the morning sun. The second the doors opened, Jake stepped out onto a private helipad. A row of luxury cars lined the driveway. Everything screamed wealth beyond imagination. A butler was already waiting. Mr. Matthews, right this way. Jake's pulse thundered as he followed, his sneakers nearly silent against the marble floors. Then the doors swung open. Inside, sitting on a grand leather chair, was a man Jake instantly recognized from TV. Michael Hawthorne, a billionaire, a tech mogul, one of the richest men in the country. Jake's throat went dry. Why was he here? Hawthorne leaned forward, studying him carefully. Then a slow smile spread across his face. Jake Matthews, the man everyone is talking about. Jake felt frozen. I did not expect this, Hawthorne chuckled. No one ever does. Sit. Jake hesitated before lowering himself onto the chair across from the billionaire. The air felt thick, charged with something life-altering. Hawthorne steepled his fingers. I do not waste time, Jake, so I will get straight to the point. The world needs more people like you. People who do the right thing, even when it costs them everything. Jake's stomach nodded. He had no idea where this was going. Hawthorne's eyes gleamed. I have a proposition for you. A job offer. Jake blinked. A job? Not just any job. Hawthorne leaned in. I want you to be the face of a movement, to lead something bigger than yourself, to prove that kindness still matters in this world. Jake's breath hitched. I do not understand. Hawthorne smiled. Let me put it this way. How would you like to never worry about money again? To have the power to change lives, just like you did for that young mother? Jake's world tilted. He had lost everything yesterday. Now a billionaire was offering him a future beyond his wildest dreams. But what exactly was he signing up for? Jake's heart pounded as Michael Hawthorne's words echoed in his head. How would you like to never worry about money again? It felt like a dream, an impossible twist of fate. Just yesterday, he was a broke cashier. Now he was sitting across from one of the most powerful men in the country, being offered a future beyond anything he had ever imagined. Jake swallowed hard. What exactly are you asking me to do? Hawthorne leaned back in his chair, his piercing eyes locked onto Jake's. I want you to be the face of a movement, one that proves kindness is more than just a good story. Jake's breath hitched. A movement? Hawthorne nodded. Your story has gone viral, Jake. People are talking. They are angry. They are inspired. You have the world's attention, but attention fades unless you turn it into something bigger. Jake shifted in his seat. I am not sure I understand. Hawthorne smiled slightly. Let me make it simple. I am offering you a position in my foundation, a program dedicated to helping people in need. You will have the resources to change lives. You will go where help is needed most. You will be a symbol of hope. Jake's mind spun. So, you want me to just help people? Hawthorne chuckled. Not just help them, Jake. Change their lives. Imagine walking into a struggling family's home and paying off their medical bills. Imagine handing a single mother the keys to her new apartment. Imagine setting up scholarships for kids who never thought they would see college. Jake's chest tightened. And you think I can do that? Hawthorne's expression turned serious. You already have. You just did not have the power to do more. Now you will. Jake hesitated. Why me? Hawthorne's gaze softened. Because the world is full of people who talk about change. You actually did something. Silence stretched between them. The weight of the moment pressed down on Jake. Then slowly, he exhaled. What's the catch? Hawthorne's lips curled into a knowing smile. Smart question. There is no catch, Jake. But there is a challenge. If you accept this, your life will never be the same. Cameras will follow you. The world will judge you. Every action you take will be scrutinized. Are you ready for that? Jake's mind raced. Could he handle that? Could he take on something so massive? Then an image flashed in his mind. The teenage mother at the grocery store, holding her baby, eyes full of desperation. He thought about the people he could help, the lives he could change. Slowly he lifted his head. His voice was steady. I am in. Hawthorne grinned. Good. He reached into his desk and pulled out a sleek black folder, sliding it across the table. Welcome to something bigger than yourself, Jake. Jake took the folder, his hands steady despite the storm inside him. Yesterday he was a fired cashier. Today he was about to change the world.